Hello, Maverick Currency traders. This is Rob Reinhold. It is 1 week after the election, November 12th. Let's jump into it. In this session, we're going to go over the news of the day. We're going to take a look at all of the markets, from the bond markets to the gold markets to the Forex and crypto markets. And then, as always, we are looking for setups.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
All right, let's start off with the news of the day. So, first thing I want to talk about is we did get a pullback. And I'm going to call this the election hangover. So we had this big move in the S&P from 5,700 all the way to 6,000. And we all know that a big move like that over 4 days, you get a little bit of a hangover where you get a little tired, you get a little pulling back. The big question is it a pullback or is it a base? That's my question right now. That's the only thing I'm wondering about because the market is definitely still bullish. We also got the UK claimant count, and it was better than expected. So again, the employment situation in the UK is slightly better than expected. And then the yields in the US dollar just continue to rise. So we've got big inflation data tomorrow, and we're trading up at about 4.43%. If we get above this 4.5, 4.6%, I actually think that it's going to cause the stock market a little bit of trouble. Let's jump over and see what was the action in the Forex market. You can see the dollar was the best performing currency of the day, up 0.5%. The worst performing currency of the day was the pound, down about 0.5%, in spite of their better than expected claimant count change. Yen was about flat. Aussie, Kiwi were weak, but not down all that much. As you can see, this is a pretty basic day. Nothing really huge happened. We had a couple decent movers in here, but there was no great trades to be had today in the Forex market. Coming over here to the stock market, S&P down 0.3%, VT down 0.8%. Overseas markets got a lot bigger selling. And then we finally got the cryptos pulling back from a monster, and I'm talking monster run from the election. No surprise here. The only question here, how long does it last? How deep does it go? We're going to take a look at all the charts, but there's no question that crypto probably is going to be giving it a little bit back. Gold has also been retreating from all-time highs. Gold has been weak for the last 3 to 4 days, and it looks like it's going to continue to stay weak. And in the world of cryptos, we see the Bitcoin was the best performer of them, and it has been the best performer of them. The rest of them got pulled up with Bitcoin, but they gave some back today where Bitcoin really held in nicely. We take a look at our equity score. The equity score, the risk-on score is a +3. So at a +3, we are looking more for risk-on trades than risk-off trades, meaning trades that typically do better when equities go higher, stuff like that. Here's the big run I was talking about, the 4 days after the election. Just huge monster run. There's no question that we're going to have a period where we either base or we give some back. That's the only question. Is do we base or do we go down and come to the support level right below 5,900 before we bounce? Or is it more like we just hang out for a little bit here before we break out to the upside? But again, the market trend is definitely bullish. Everything is looking bullish at this point. So again, risk on moves are likely going to be the better places to go hunt. Let's take a look at the calendar over the next 24 hours. We do have wages out of Australia tonight. That's probably enough for a 20 pip move in the Aussie, but that's not going to be all that big. The big news is going to be the CPI report tomorrow out of the US. That comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Likely to be a big move if it's outside of the expectations. If it's right around expectations, probably a pretty muted move on the dollar. The dollar's already strengthened. If it's hotter than expected, then I think the dollar probably moves up even higher. Tomorrow night, we do have employment out of Australia, so there's a lot of news in Australia coming out as well. So we'll definitely be sure to go ahead and take a look at that Aussie. I also want to take a look at that dollar, and then we'll check in on Bitcoin for sure. All right, let's jump on dollar first. So Here we have the dollar here. It was already moving up into the election, and you can see we are hitting some pretty key resistance levels. Now again, this is the US dollar basket equally weighted against the other 7 currencies. It's just telling you it wants to go higher. I mean, we had this base here. This is really more of a base than anything. And you can see we're pushing out of the top range of this base. Tomorrow's CPI is going to be important. If we get a green candle off that CPI, this is a clear breakout. And I think you got to take a look at, okay, well, where's the next level here? We have a pretty nice run up to this high that we had in April. So dollar, I'm definitely bullish on dollar. The big question is, where do you get in? When do you get in? Going down to a 4-hour chart, you can see that we're having the same thing as the stock market. We had a big run. Now we're getting a little bit of a pullback. So I think we settle in here. We'll take a look at some dollar crosses here in a second. But I think this is going to be more of a base than a pullback. I also want to take a look at Swiss franc, because Swiss franc was one of the stronger currencies, but it's a currency that I have been just waiting and waiting to go short on. But as you can see here, it's still range bound. So for me, Swiss franc is if you're going to do some short-term trading on it, that's fine, but I'm not looking to do any sort of trend trades on Swiss franc. I'm also really not looking to do anything on yen. As you can see here, yen is really consolidating here, but it's not breaking down. So I've had a couple of traders talk to me about yen, how it's been frustrating, and I said, yes, it's absolutely been frustrating. Why are you hunting in chop? Again, just having this chop, you're just going to chop your account up. All right, take a look at the pound. The pound to me looks interesting. This is a daily chart. We were looking really bullish here. We had a big run. You can see we're starting to see some bearish price action. If you come down to a 4-hour chart, it looks even a little bit worse. We've got this support here. So I don't think pound is ready to short yet, but you can see a lot of support. Again, this is the basket. We'll take a look at it against some currency crosses. But to me, pound probably has a little bounce. If you want to short off that bounce, that possibly could be a decent trade. Then I want to focus in on the Aussie because there's a lot of news coming out on Aussie over the next little bit. But take a look at this daily chart. This is not the kind of daily chart that says, hey, I can make a lot of money on Aussie right now. Look at this. Lots of long upper and lower shadows, meaning they break out, they break down, and ultimately don't go anywhere. We want runs. We want runs like this. That's a run. And here's even a decent run. And here's a good run. We are not getting runs at all. So Aussie for me is out. Kiwi, same thing. So when you really start to take a look around currencies, like around Forex, there's not a lot really moving here. There's just not a lot moving. So for me, dollar is the number one long. Pound is probably the number one short. And by number one, I mean not all that good. But we'll take a look at that pairing. I do want to take a look at the cryptos. And cryptos as a basket. You can see there you are, not back to their high. Now, how is that possible? Well, we have 4 cryptos in a basket, and Bitcoin is at all-time highs, but take a look at how far away Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash are all away. Well, Bitcoin Cash is broken out too. So when we just take a look at, oops, sorry, that was Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is a mile away from its all-time high. We really just want to focus on Bitcoin here. That's really all we want to focus on. So let's see how these all stack up. As you can see, we got a lot in the middle. And when they're in the middle, we don't want to trend trade them whatsoever. No trend trades. If you are a range-bound trader, okay, have at them. Have at them, find the one that's doing the best and worst. But if you're a trend trader, then really it's very limited to Bitcoin and probably CAD and the dollar against the pound. Those are really the only setups here at the moment. So I don't think this is a great trading 24 hours we're looking at, but let's take a look at some potential trades here. All right, let's first take a look at Bitcoin. So we got a clear breakout, and here we are. We've had a monster run, and we get this doji up here. Now remember, the doji just means that there's no longer a supply and demand balance. That on this 24-hour period, there was as many buyers as sellers, which has been different than the last 2 days. Will the next candle be red or green? Well, guess what? Nobody knows, but we do know that if it is red, then it does mean that the equilibrium has now shifted. where there is more sellers than buyers, which is going to signal, okay, we are looking at either a pullback or we're looking at a base but hitting lower levels for sure. So for me, Bitcoin on a daily chart doesn't look like a buy here. On a 4-hour chart, you could take a look at it and say, okay, if it holds this and breaks out, then that doji wasn't a doji without the confirmation candle. So if you did want to go out there and hunt for a Bitcoin trade, then for me, above 90,000 is really the only trigger I see. Above 90,000, the last high was 90,100. So that would be the point for a breakout of this 4-hour high base. But again, I don't think you're going to get a whole lot because we've already had a huge explosion of energy. I just don't like the trade here. The only other trade I want to take a look at is pound dollar. So pound dollar on the short side. Let's go to the daily chart. You can see we have broken through some support levels here. And here we are in the middle before we get to the next support level. Let's call it down here at the 126.5. Okay, so let's start talking numbers. 126.5 is our next level that we think it could go down to. Okay, that is 100 pips away. Okay, but we are getting a bounce here. We are getting a bounce. We've stopped having red candles. We've had a green candle. We're starting to get this. So it's telling us there's likely a bounce on the horizon here. Where is that bounce going to go? Theoretically, it could go all the way back up to this 128.5. I doubt it does. Let's use this 13 EMA as the potential for a short setup. So if it does bounce up and it gets up around this area, okay, so 128, I've put an alert out, says, hey, if it gets up to 128, I'll start looking for now a reversal in the price action, meaning I don't get any more green candles, I start to get some red candles, then I can run some numbers and make sense if this trade is going to be within my parameters. Guys, I don't have a great setup. It's just not where we are in the market. We've had huge moves. Great job catching the trades. But at this point, this is the ebbs and flows of the market. The flow was last week. The ebb is this week. We can't be trading and chopping our account up in the ebbs because when the flow comes, we're going to be gun shy and also we're going to be lower on capital. So wrapping this up here, we've got a lot of non-tradable currencies at the moment. Let's let this ebb happen. And then, of course, we all know everything is cyclical. So once it starts to move, we can jump on it. That is the currency recap. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.